What's up, everyone? UFC 322. Uh, what an amazing event this one is. I had not realized just how good this card is up until last week when I decided to look at the card top to bottom, and I didn't realize and then I started looking at all the names that this event is as good as it gets. Like, I would have to look at the remaining of the previous, all of 2025. But this might be the best event of the year. The entire main card, it's badass fights. Even with the women, I know some people like to hate on the women, but even Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili is one that I'm interested in watching. And then on the prelims, you got Bo Nicol, Rodolfo Vieira, Calpilo versus Gregory Rodriguez. You got Chepe Mariscal, Pat Sabatini. But yeah, this is one of those pay-per-views that is as good as it gets. And I'm going to talk about the main card, like I always do. And let's get to it. Main event, we have Islam Makhachev versus Della Maddalena. I'm just going to call him JDM like everybody else. So JDM. And this is a tough fight to call. This is one of those, it's a hard one. I am picking Makhachev to win this one by submission. It could be a decision as well, like maybe not a very fun fight, depending how they counter each other's skills. But I am picking Makhachev to get it done by submission, but not super confident. This is one of those where I'm just like 60-40, maybe even like 55-45 Makhachev. And I mean, JDM could very well upset, and I would not be surprised. And I don't know if I want to call this a super fight, because you can think of it as champion versus champion, but not technically a super fight, because JDM has not defended his title yet, and Makhachev is not the lightweight title champion. He vacated the belt and went up to welterweight, and no, let's get to it. JDM is coming from a very competitive fight against Belal Muhammad. For whatever reason, I remember the fight more dominant than what it actually was. And then when I rewatched it a few days ago, just kind of like refreshed my memory, it was extremely competitive. The judges scored it 48-46, 48-46, 49. I'm sorry, 48-47, 48-47, 49-46 all across. And I agree with the 48-46. I gave 2 out of the 5 rounds to Belal and 3 to JDM, but I can't remember which one. One of them was very competitive. That, I thought it was going to be a split decision. Like, I'm surprised it was not a split decision. Had it not been Belal Muhammad, maybe one of the judges would have given it to him. But it was a fight where Belal decided to play the striking battle. All of round 1, there was no takedown attempts. I think there was one half-ass takedown attempt in the second round. And then towards the end, he kind of decided to use more of his grappling. But for the majority of the fight, he was okay having a striking match with JDM. And I think that was his mistake. And even the commentators were saying, like, how come he doesn't shoot for more takedowns? But yeah, very competitive fight that JDM won by decision, and he became the champion. Islam Makhachev is coming from absolutely dominating Moicano, I believe it was. A fight where he was supposed to fight Arman Tsarukyan early this year. And God, I was so disappointed that fight didn't come through, because we missed out on that one. I think the whole world missed out on Makhachev versus Tsarukyan. And it's not like Moicano took it on short notice, because he was scheduled to fight that same night against Dariush, and they just switched his opponent. But he was very well prepared, physically speaking. Like, he was in fight shape, did weight and everything. The fight lasted one round. The opening minutes was kind of competitive, but the moment it hit the ground, it was over. Makhachev passed his guard and submitted him. The reason I'm picking Makhachev to win this fight is I have 2 reasons. One is, if you look at JDM versus Belal Muhammad, it was not a dominant fight. Like, it was not a dominant win. Let's not pretend, we're not going to pretend that JDM went there and just steamroll over Belal Muhammad. It was extremely competitive. And again, had it been another judge or not Belal Muhammad, somebody might have given it to Belal. But there was no grappling. There was not much grappling by Belal. And there were a few moments that he did. He was able to get the takedown and get some sort of top control. Now, the big questions are, can you make the argument that Islam Makhachev is a better grappler than Belal? I think he is. Like, skills for skill, I think Makhachev is the better the better grappler. And if we talk about height and size, let's see. According to Wikipedia, Makhachev is 5'10", 70-inch reach. And let's see, what's Belal? So Belal is 5'10", 72-inch reach. So they're the same size. Nobody's gonna tell me Belal is that much bigger than and much strong. I'm sorry. Yeah, nobody's gonna tell me Belal is that much bigger, that much stronger than Makhachev. They are literally the same height. And so my two reasons are, JDM didn't dominate Belal. And you can question Belal's approach to that fight. He didn't grapple as much as he should have. He decided, I guess he wanted to prove a point to the fans, and he paid for it because he lost his stand-up. So that was one reason. And the other one is, at this point, we don't know yet, but I'm going to choose to believe him. Makhachev says that as welterweight, he feels much better. He feels much stronger. Than the weight cut is not taking a toll on him. And he was always accused of being a weight bully, that he should have always been a welterweight. Well, now he is the welterweight. And I've seen a few pictures where he looks pretty swole. So let's say what Makhachev is saying is true. Is he a better welterweight, stronger, more durability, better than what he already was? That's going to be a monster Makhachev, but we don't know. Could be a whole bunch of BS. Maybe just JDM ends up looking stronger, but I'm gonna believe his words, and I'm gonna use the Belal Muhammad fight that was very competitive, and I'm picking Makhachev to win this one by, it could be a decision, or I'm gonna go by submission. Not super confident though. Before that, we have Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. I think Zhang Weili is the underdog, and I'm gonna pick her to win by decision. Women's MMA never plays out the way I think it's gonna play out. Like, it always ends up being, it doesn't matter how much I look at the fights and the footage, it always ends up being something, and I'm like, okay, I did not see this coming. But Shevchenko's coming from winning a decision against Manon Fiorot, I think, where he clearly won rounds 1 and 4, and 2, 3, and 5 were very competitive. Another fight that I thought was going to be split because, well, and Shevchenko did a whole bunch of waiting, and he was not able to implement her grappling, except for like round 1. Manon Fiorot, that's what it was. Was it Manon Fiorot, or I want to make sure I'm getting the right person here. Yeah, Manon Fiorot. He was able to stop almost all her takedowns, forcing Shevchenko to stand up and trade. Where, again, she won round 1, 4, 2, 3, and 5 were very competitive. Zhang Weili's coming from absolutely dominating. Was it Tatiana Suarez or? Yeah, Tatiana Suarez, where round 1, she got taken down in control. That was the only round she lost. Maybe she didn't see it coming, but the remaining of the fight, 2, 3, 4, and 5, she absolutely dominated in the stand-up and in the grappling. She was able to stop the takedown. She was able to reverse Suarez when she would get a hold of a leg. And she was able to show that she can keep the fight standing. And then when she takes you down, she can keep top position. Shevchenko didn't look like she was able to implement her grappling in the previous fight, and I don't expect her to be able to do it to Zhang Weili. So I'm picking Zhang Weili by decision. I think she keeps it standing and wins the stand-up. And don't be surprised if she gets a few takedowns of her own and does some control. So I think she's an underdog. I could be wrong. Last time I checked, she was, but she's one of my picks. Zhang Weili by decision. Before that, we have a killer fight between Sean Brady and Michael Morales. This is going to show us, this is a big fight for both of them, especially for Morales, because I think we know, especially for Morales for sure, because Brady is coming from absolutely steamrolling over Leon Edwards. Like, it wasn't even competitive. Round one was the most competitive round, but 2, 3, and whatever lasted on 4, Sean Brady absolutely dominated him and controlled him with grappling. Eventually submitted him in the 4th round. Michael Morales is coming from, he's a knockout artist. He's coming from knocking out Burns, Magny in the 1st round, both of them. Dominated Jake Matthews, and the fight against Matt Griffin, which was over 2 years ago, was the most competitive I think he's had since he entered the UFC. I remember I picked Jake Matthews to beat him because of the Max Griffin fight, but I don't think he's the same fighter anymore. He's also an underdog, and I am picking Morales to get the TKO on this one. And if he does, see, we already know Brady is a killer because he dominated Leon Edwards, who was the previous champion. And he made it look easy, even easier than Usman did or any one of those guys. So we know he's legit. We know he's next in line. Michael Morales, Gilbert Burns is his biggest win, who did a good fight against JDM, right? Whatever that means for you. But I think if the fight is a stand-up fight, Morales is going to catch him and knock him out like he's done everyone else. But we're about to find out. We're about to find out Morales, unless he ends it quick in the 1st round, like he's done in the last 2. We're about to find out how good of a takedown defense he has, how much cardio he has, and what happens when you get a step up in competition against a good grappler like Sean Brady. Not super confident on this one. I'm like 70-30. I am picking Morales to win by TKO. Keeps the fight standing. If he's done his homework, which I'm trusting he has, there's just no way he couldn't have, him and his team. And okay, there's no way Sean Brady's going out there to have a striking fight with you. He's going to try to take you down ASAP. I'm counting he's sharpened up his takedown defense. And I got him by TKO. I'm going to go with Michael Morales TKO round 2. Before that, we have Leon Edwards and Carlos Prates. Edwards, as we said, he's coming from getting dominated by Sean Brady. Against Carlos Prates, who's coming from putting a beating on Jeff Neal and then knocking him out with the spinning back elbow. The one good thing going on for Edwards on this one is we know that Carlos Prates is not going to take him down. This is going to be a stand-up battle. And I just don't see where Edwards poses a threat for Prates. He's never been known for being a one-punch knockout artist. I mean, his last win was a head kick against Kamaru Usman. Mostly he pulls decisions in a 3-round fight. And he doesn't really choose to grapple. I mean, he's shown that he can grapple, but he seems to like to stand up and trade. I think that's what we're going to see here, a stand-up battle between him and Carlos Prates. And Carlos Prates is I'm going to pick Prates by TKO round 1 or 2. It could also be a pretty one-sided decision where he absolutely outstrikes him for 3 rounds. But I got Prates by TKO round 2. I don't see Edwards out-grappling him. I don't see Edwards winning the striking battle. So Prates by TKO. And then to open the main event, we have, the main card, we have Beneil Dariush versus Benoit Denis. I got Benoit Denis by steamroll knockout round 1. Dariush is coming from beating Moicano in a fight where he out-grappled him and was able to outpace him. Running out of time here. And get a somewhat of a boring decision. Benoit Denis is coming from absolutely shutting down Mauricio Rufy, where he beat him in the stand-up, did whatever he wanted with the takedowns, and eventually submitted in the 2nd round. I think Benoit Denis steamrolls over Beneil Dariush with TKO, stops the takedown, and gets the finish. So I got Makhachev by submission round 2 or 3. Not very confident. JDM could upset. I got Zhang Weili by decision. I got Michael Morales KO TKO round 2. Not super confident either. Carlos Prates by KO TKO round 1 or 2. Could also very well be a decision. And I have Benoit Denis by knockout round 1. I think he walks through Beneil Dariush. All right, guys, have a good one.